Um, Tonight I want to look at another States of Siege game by Victory Point Games called Habsburg Eclipse. I've said before that whenever I look at the this picture, I think of a vampire game because that looks like Transylvania and Castle Dracula. For some reason, I really do not like this cover, but that doesn't really make any difference because the game I love. I've played it already. Those of you who are following my channel may have seen me doing the Ottoman Sunset review and playthrough. Now, this is basically the second part, because where in Ottoman Sunset you play the downfall of the Ottoman Empire, here you have the downfall of the Austro-Hungarian dynasty. And also what you can do is you can actually combine both games and play them together. I haven't done that yet, but I have played both. I've only played this one once. I lost, which is what you kind of expect from a State of Siege game. But I can already tell you that this is a brilliant game experience. The game comes with the usual two maps. So basically you have the jigsaw one, which I've used here, and the normal paper one. Nice booklet of rules and cards and counters. Counters are the usual very thick laser cut counters that Victory Point Games provides. The game itself is again divided into three phases: the morning, the noon, and the evening phase. And the difference is in the card color. So the midday phase has yellow cards. The morning phase has blue cards, and the dusk phase then has grey cards. So basically what you do is at the beginning of the game you divide these into three different stacks. So this is the yellow stack, this is the evening stack, grey, and then you have the blue stack. And what you do is you basically start with the blue stack, and this is how you play the game. It's completely card driven. You draw card for card, and on each card you get told what you need to do. So for example, this is a morning card, and it tells you a couple of things. First of all, it tells you that you need to advance, and again, this is the typical State of Siege gameplay. You have different tracks. In this case, you have a Carpathian, Polish front, Romanian front, Balkan front, Italian front, and Salonika. Sorry, Salonika is the Balkan front. Sorry, I was mixing those up. So 1, 2, 3, 4 fronts. And in the beginning, you set up who's going to take part in the first couple of turns. It's usually only, you start off with the Carpathian and Polish fronts active, and then you start pulling cards. This card tells you that you have to conduct an off-map theatre battle in the Eastern Theatre. In this case, it's Tannenberg. So basically, there you just basically get a chit saying Tannenberg. You roll against it. It's got a battle value of 2. If you roll 3 or higher, you win that battle. You put that battle into your victories box. So it means you count this towards the national will track. So that's a positive. You advance these 2. You don't, and this is important, trigger any revolutions, and this is different from the Ottoman Sunset, where you don't have this, and you take 2 actions. Usually you can do things like fighting. You can also commit additional forces to the off-map theatres, and later on you also get cards that allow you to do different things. But this game has an additional thing which none of the others have, and that is the national loyalties track that you can see here. Now this track represents the national loyalties of the Czechs, the Croats and the Hungarians. They start all off as loyal, and then you move towards revolt. If all three nations are revolting against the Austro-Hungarian monarchy, you lose the game immediately. And I have to say I lost because of that. This is an additional mechanic that you have to go through every time you draw a card. So for example, here it says trigger check. So basically you have to roll a dice, and you have to roll a die and check if the Czechs are moving towards revolt. Here it's the Croatians that would revolt. Sometimes you just get all of them need to be checked. Sometimes none of them need to be checked. Sometimes it just says random. Then you roll and decide who goes next. And if one of them is already revolting, what you then have to do is, if they come up again, it cascades down to the next nation. So basically this is going to spiral out of control really quickly, and there is nothing you can actually do to regain their loyalty. So the only thing that you can hope for is rolling really well. So that is quite luck based, but I didn't find it annoying in the sense that I found it annoying in the Dawn of the Zeds, which is also States of Siege, which I don't really like. So another look at the map. The center space that nobody must enter ever is Vienna. So that's the one you need to guard. The different warfaring groups joined during the game. Sometimes they are added due to a card. Sometimes they're even withdrawn. So, for example, there is the possibility of the Polish front being completely closed. You play victory points and national will track. So basically, when the enemies occupy spaces like this or like this, you lose national will because the Austro-Hungarians see, okay, they're being besieged. You also lose national will for any defeats that you get in off-map theatres. Stalemates don't do anything, they just don't help you. You also have the war weariness that you find in the Ottoman sunset. Also, if a country goes into revolt, this actually changes the DRMs for certain tracks on this game. And overall, it is an extremely interesting game. It plays extremely quickly. You have only very few action points, so to speak, per turn. I think the maximum that I saw was 3 actions. Sometimes you get the possibility of playing one for free because you have a particular. You can ask the Germans to help out, but by that you sacrifice the possibility of putting reinforcements in the off-map theatre, so you have to weigh those 2 possibilities up. So it's one of those games where you have more choices of what you can do than, let's say, Israeli independence, obviously, because there the only thing you can do is actually fight. I believe you probably have less than in Ottoman sunset. So, for example, this idea of, I need to fortify the narrows of Gallipoli. You know, do I lay mines? Do I fortify the outposts there, or do I build barricades and stuff? That doesn't happen here. You can't do that here. So you have fewer choices. But all of the choices that you have are absolutely meaningful and drive the story, and you feel you're driving the story forward, the battles forward. You drive history before you instead of just following and watching a simulation unfold. Very much unlike Dawn of the Zeds, which I really don't like. I've come to the conclusion I'm actually going to sell it. So if somebody is watching this and would like to buy it, it's €40. You can have it plus shipping. Where you have a plethora of things you can do, but it's just a pseudo choice, because you can't really choose what to do, because you're just splitting yourself 2 too much up, all your actions, that none of them will ever reach any fruition. So this game actually means, and I haven't won yet, but I do think it's possible to win. It has fewer options than Ottoman Sunset. It has things that Ottoman Sunset doesn't have, and that's the revolution. Tracks for 3 nations, which can end the game immediately. And for me, that was actually the end of the game, because they all revolted against me. But everything you do feels like you're making a difference. You are actually in control of the game. You're playing against the game. You're playing against the built-in AI that is card-driven, and it works perfectly. So if you are interested in States of Siege and you have not acquired Habsburg Eclipse, it's a strong recommendation from me. It's one of the games, I've got a Victory Point Games box now, which contains all of my State of Siege games. And this box will go on holiday with me in September. I'm going to Spain for a week. And I will bring those because I will have plenty of time to play as well. And they are just very easy to transport. They're not very heavy, and they are easy to play in terms of easily set up, tear down really quick, play really quickly, and they are extremely enjoyable. So that's another video done for today. Maybe I'll do a playthrough of this. I don't know, because at the moment I'm also playing Operation Seelöwe, which I really want to, finish next weekend. So I'll see what I can do. Okay, bye.